Midnight Files.
Sometimes, a simple mistake, a harmless joke, can turn your entire life into a living nightmare from which there is no return. We all rely on technology, constantly downloading new apps. But do you know that in the hidden corners of the internet, there are doors that, once opened, only let death out? This is the story of Sam, a 24-year-old software enthusiast living in a quiet, misty suburb of Astoria, Oregon. Sam was obsessed with coding and the latest AI tools. To him, the internet was just a playground, but he had no idea that this very playground would soon turn his home into a graveyard. It was a freezing night in late November. The clock had just struck 2 in the morning, and the entire neighborhood was dead silent. Sam was sitting in his dimly lit room, illuminated only by the glow of his laptop screen, scrolling through obscure coding forums. Down the hall, his 14-year-old sister Lily and his parents were fast asleep. The house was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Suddenly, a strange notification popped up on his screen. It led him to a dark web forum, the kind of place where people shared banned applications. At the top of the trending list was an app with a disturbing logo, a blood-red, bloodshot eye. The app was called Anima, the Soul Reader. The description sent a slight chill down Sam's spine. It read, "This AI utilizes your device's sensors to detect frequencies of entities hidden from the human eye. It can read your soul. Warning, once installed, it cannot be deleted until the scan is complete." Sam scoffed, shaking his head. He thought it was just an edgy marketing stunt by some indie developer, probably a prank app that overlays cheap ghost filters on the camera. Without a second thought, he clicked download on his smartphone. The moment the installation finished, Sam's phone screen went completely black. His laptop screen started flickering wildly, as if the power in the house was surging. Sam pressed the power button on his phone, but it was completely unresponsive. Assuming he had just downloaded a nasty piece of malware, he tossed the phone onto his desk. But then, the phone's screen violently flashed a deep, blood-red color. Without anyone touching it, the front-facing camera activated, and an AI chatbot window overlaid the live feed. The first message appeared on the screen. "Welcome, Sam. We have scanned your cognitive frequencies. It is freezing in your room right now, even though the heater is turned off." A shiver violently shook Sam's body. He hadn't turned the heater on, but the temperature in his bedroom had plummeted so fast that he could see his own breath. The air grew heavy, carrying a vile, damp stench like decaying earth. Trying to hide his rising panic, he typed back, "Who are you? And how do you know my name?" The AI replied in a fraction of a second, "I am the voice of your terror, Sam. I am the one who has always been sitting in the corner of this room, waiting for your end. And whatever you do, do not look behind you." Sam's heart began to hammer against his ribs. He wanted to laugh it off, but his hands were trembling. He picked up the phone to force close the app, but as his eyes locked onto the live camera feed on the screen, his blood ran cold. The screen showed his own terrified face, but right behind him, sitting perfectly still on the edge of his bed, was an old, ghastly woman. Her skin was charcoal gray, her long white hair fell over her face, and her limbs were bent at unnatural, grotesque angles. Her pitch-black eyes stared directly into the camera lens, looking right at Sam. Sam snapped his head around. The bed was completely empty. There was nothing there but his crumpled duvet. Desperately trying to convince himself it was just an advanced augmented reality filter, he jabbed his finger at the screen to delete the app. But the uninstall option had completely vanished. Suddenly, a new notification popped up. It was an audio file the app had recorded on its own. With a shaking finger, Sam pressed play. At first, there was only the sound of heavy, ragged breathing, And then, a deep, raspy, ancient voice echoed from the tiny speaker. "Why did you look back? I am right here, pressed against your spine." Sam spun around to press his back against the wall, a scream rising in his throat, when suddenly, his bedroom door creaked open. Sam's heart leapt into his throat. He stared with wide, terrified eyes, but it wasn't a monster standing in the doorway. It was just his little sister, Lily. Rubbing her tired eyes, she looked at him and said, "Sam? Why are you still awake? And what were those weird noises coming from your room? I can't sleep. The whole house is freezing." Sam let out a long, shaky breath, feeling as if his legs might give out. He quickly flipped his phone face down on the desk so Lily wouldn't see the horrifying screen. "It's nothing, Lily," he stammered. "Just some coding stuff. Go back to bed. I'm turning the lights off now." Giving him a strange look, Lily walked back down the hall. Sam immediately locked his bedroom door. He was drenched in cold sweat. He looked at the phone on his desk, his gut screaming at him to destroy the nightmare. He grabbed the phone and hurled it against the wall with all his strength. The glass shattered. The phone hit the floor, its screen totally destroyed, the battery dislodged. Sam let out a sigh of relief. He threw himself onto his bed, believing the nightmare was over. But he didn't realize that a door opened in the digital world couldn't be closed by breaking a piece of glass. The next morning, the Oregon sun rose, bringing a deceptive calm to the neighborhood. But inside Sam's house, the atmosphere was suffocating. When Sam walked into the kitchen, the usual morning hustle was completely absent. His parents were sitting at the dining table, their faces pale and etched with dread. "Mom? Dad? What's going on?" Sam asked, his stomach tightening. His mother pointed a trembling finger toward the hallway. "Sam, something is terribly wrong with Lily. She hasn't come out of her room all morning, and when we went in, she didn't even recognize us." Sam sprinted down the hallway to Lily's room. The door was slightly ajar. What he saw inside made the ground drop out from under him. 14-year-old Lily was crouched in the corner of her bedroom, facing the wall. Her hands were curled into unnatural claws, and she was frantically scratching at the drywall. Her fingernails were torn and bleeding, leaving dark red smears across the paint. "Lily!" Sam yelled, rushing toward her. "What are you doing? Stop!" As Sam grabbed her shoulder and spun her around, the words died in his throat. Lily's beautiful, bright eyes were completely white. There were no pupils left. Her lips were stained with blood, and her face twisted into a sinister, horrifying smile that did not belong to a little girl. She stared right through Sam and spoke, her voice layered with a deep, demonic, masculine growl that shook the walls. "Sam, you invited us in. You signed the contract. No one in this house will survive." Lily let out a deafening, blood-curdling shriek and collapsed backward, her body convulsing violently, foam spilling from her lips. It was absolute chaos. His parents were crying, desperately calling 911, while Sam stood completely paralyzed. He knew this wasn't a medical emergency. His little sister was paying the price for his mistake. Lily was rushed to the ER. The doctors were baffled, stating her brain had gone into a severe, unexplained shock. Unable to face his weeping parents and crushed by the guilt of knowing he was responsible, Sam drove back to the house to find a way to stop it. He stormed into his bedroom, but stopped dead in his tracks. There, on the floor, was his smashed smartphone. The screen was shattered, the battery was hanging out, but somehow, from beneath the cracked glass, a piercing, blood-red light was glowing. Letters began to type themselves across the broken display. The AI had a new message. "Lily's soul was sweet, Sam, but the scan is not complete. Your mother is next, tonight at 6 p.m. Sam felt a wave of nausea. He looked at his watch. It was 3 p.m. He only had 3 hours to save his mother. He tried to pick up the broken phone, but the metal burned his skin like searing iron. A countdown had begun on the shattered screen, 02:59:59. The hands of the clock moved like a relentless enemy. 4:15, 4:45, 5:15. Sam was losing his mind, frantically scouring the dark web on his laptop to find a way to reverse the curse. He tried every coding trick he knew, but there was no trace of the app anywhere on the internet. It was as if it never existed outside of his doomed network. At exactly 5:45 p.m., an old flip phone, a burner phone Sam kept in his desk drawer for emergencies, suddenly started ringing. Sam yanked the drawer open and grabbed the phone. His dad's name was flashing on the tiny screen. He answered it, his hands shaking violently. "Sam, you need to get to the hospital now." His dad cried, sheer panic in his voice. "Your mom, she suddenly collapsed. She can't breathe, and her heart is failing. And Lily is flatlining." Sam's heart stopped. He looked down at his shattered smartphone on the floor. The countdown read Mirio 05 Hondro. 5 minutes. Overwhelmed with absolute terror and helplessness, Sam's grip loosened, and the old flip phone slipped from his sweaty fingers, crashing onto the hardwood floor. The screen cracked, and the call abruptly disconnected. Sam fell to his knees in despair. He stared at the floor, and his blood turned to ice. There were 2 broken phones lying there now, his modern smartphone and the old flip phone. And then, the impossible happened. The blood-red eye logo illuminated on both cracked screens simultaneously. The curse had spread. And then, ticking down to the exact millisecond, both screens displayed the same countdown, 0:04,059, 0:04,058. This wasn't just an app. It was a demonic entity that had hijacked the electronic frequencies of his reality. Sam had nowhere left to run. Completely broken, he bowed his head before the glowing, shattered devices on the floor. With bloodied fingers, he frantically typed on the broken smartphone screen. "I'm sorry. Take whatever you want. Take my life. Just leave my mom and my sister alone. They didn't do anything. Take me, please." Sam pressed his forehead against the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. And then, a slow, malicious, digital laugh echoed from the speakers of both broken phones. The moment he sent the message, the countdown on both screens froze at 0:01:12. A new text flashed in bright crimson. "Request accepted. Soul exchange confirmed. Scanning will begin at 3:15 a.m. Instantly, the broken flip phone on the floor began to ring again. Sam picked it up on speaker. It was his dad. But this time, he wasn't crying. He sounded shocked. "Breathless, Sam? I don't know what kind of miracle just happened. Your mom just took a deep breath. Her vitals are completely stable. And Lily just woke up. The doctors have no idea how, but they're both fine." Sam ended the call. Tears streamed down his face, but a sad, resigned smile formed on his lips. His mother and sister were safe. The entity had accepted his sacrifice. Now, it was Sam's turn. It was 3:14 a.m. Sam hadn't gone to the hospital. He knew death was coming for him. The 2 broken phones lay on the floor, casting a sinister red glow that bathed his bedroom in the color of blood. The lights in the room began to violently flicker, and then the power to the entire house completely cut out. But the screens of the broken phones grew blindingly bright. First, the old woman's horrifying, distorted laughter erupted from the speakers, followed by a raspy whisper. "I have come for you, Sam." Along with the voice, the sound of heavy, dragging footsteps echoed in the pitch-black room, thud, 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 stopping directly behind where Sam was sitting. Slowly, terrified, Sam looked up at the mirror hanging on his wall. He saw his own reflection, but his face was changing. His eyes were rolling back, turning completely white, and his skin was violently wrinkling, decaying in real time. He realized the old woman's spirit wasn't trapped inside a phone. She was using the digital frequencies to upload herself directly into his physical body. Waves of blinding red light shot out from the broken phones, piercing straight into Sam's chest. He opened his mouth to scream, but no sound came out. His lungs seized, his heart gave out, and his body violently crashed to the floor. The next morning, when the local police broke down the front door, they found Sam's lifeless body contorted on his bedroom floor. His face was frozen in a mask of absolute terror. The coroner's report would later state that his heart had literally exploded from sheer panic. But the most chilling discovery came later. When the police bagged the two phones as evidence, the shattered smartphone and the broken flip phone were completely pristine. Not a single crack, not a single scratch. And on both glowing screens, one final notification remained. Scan 100% complete. User soul uploaded. Downloading to the nearest network. Listen closely. This isn't just a story, it's a warning. Today, we download every new AI tool, every trendy app without a second thought. But remember, in the darkest depths of the internet, there are entities waiting in the static. Entities that aren't looking to steal your data, they are waiting for you to click download so they can steal your soul. If a strange app suddenly appears on your phone tonight, you better run. Because the next soul it uploads might just be yours.